Oh. You can never tell me. Yeah, I could write it.
Let's start. All I know is during one.
All right, you are-
conversation, you don't feel like I'm meeting on time, everybody. Yeah. 401, it's August 23rd, 4 o'clock. Oh, so I believe in the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, August 9th meeting minutes, we got them all via email, so you're going to time to look at them. I think the instructions that were needed was corrected.
Yeah, I seen, I don't see nothing to do.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the August 9th council meeting?
I make a motion to approve the August 9th, 2022 council meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Then we have minutes for August 15th special session. Again, these were sent out, so all corrections should have been made. Do we have a motion to accept the August 15th special session minutes? Make a motion to accept August 15th special session.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, the sheriff isn't here. Was he still coming?
He didn't tell me otherwise.
Okay, so we'll just wait and see if he shows up. Sheriff Maldonado was gonna come and talk about the nuisance ordinance again. We'll wait and see if he's,
Yeah,
Yes,
something
sir.
came up
yeah.
unexpected.
Zoning ordinance committee update. Marcia, can you give us that? Since Martin's not here.
We're working on it, and Rebecca's recoloring the current zoning, and we're working on different zoning ideas on how to change that. Martin was gonna have a phone call into Paige to talk about, perhaps implementing a moratorium on commercial building until we get it all figured out. But we're working on it, and Jeff was kind enough to put barriers, down by, mixed house for the drop off that was brought up. So thank you for doing that. And our next meeting, and it is open to the public, if you guys like to come, is this Thursday at 4 o'clock. We're just going through and trying to get things set up a little bit better so that we can hopefully pass it off to Baker County.
And I do know that Paige got the email that Renee sent about the verbiage, or what Martin was talking about, of the moratorium, and she wasn't sure she could get it all reviewed by this meeting, so we'll have an answer by next meeting for sure. Public Works, Jeff.
So we had the sewer lagoon survey, and it's in really good shape. So we're gonna send a full report on that.
And revenue tank.
Revenue tank's gone now.
So on the, back to our sewer lagoon, we won't have to be buying any product to break it down.
No dredging or any product. It's really good shape.
Okay.
You guys are done doing the affluent now, aren't you?
Mhm.
Spraying.
Yeah, we've been done with that.
How much water we got for the moratorium, the moratorium on our water, and do we have
For,
enough coming in to keep doing the
Oh, yeah.
69?
yeah, the level increased on the way down, but we haven't opened the barrel yet, so we got a barrel that's full.
So,
But we were running about 207 gallons a minute to keep everything going. Now the redwood tank's gone, it's about 153 gallons a minute. So it's going down from there.
and you were able to, get the chlorine all.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, because once you get, because I came up there about 11:30, something like that, and the tank was almost empty.
Yeah.
So it emptied out in what, about 3 hours?
by itself, yeah.
Yeah, without being tied to the city. That's how bad it was leaking. So it's like a little bit of water and goes a long way.
The suggestion was made to change the restriction to 6 to 9 in the evening when the water doesn't evaporate so bad. Because it's gone by noon and it's hot weather.
Yeah, true.
So,
It's just real hard to police. Isn't it?
well, I can, pretty sure that
There's
there's
a lot of
plenty,
eyes out
I
there.
mean,
Okay.
I think if somebody's running their sprinkler all night, somebody's going to tell.
That's fine.
I mean, we know that people see all, so,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I just think the policing, there's a lot of these people in others.
We just need to change the sign.
Yeah,
And
change
can you repost the one at the post office?
It's just better usage of our water, because it'll stay in the ground longer.
I don't know.
I don't have to get up to the room.
Me neither. So any other questions? Yeah. Okay.
No,
No,
Thank you.
oh, we'll talk about that.
Cistern water, it's in your freezer. You want to
Oh, you want to show them that?
Yeah, Chantel.
it's been long and.
So we flushed the cistern, which is supposed to be a backup emergency supply of water. We flushed it for an hour and a half.
Drinking water?
That's our
That's our
drinking water comes out of Cracker Creek.
Before it gets filtered.
Yeah, yeah.
This, Levi said that this here will plug up our filter probably within about 15 minutes. The
That's
same.
the problem if you have slow sand filters. So,
But Levi wanted to do that, and then when it came out that dirty, due to the fact that he's pushing for the city, which won't happen this year, but maybe next year, we can see about a grant to put in a well.
Oh, we need a
And-
well.
it might clean up if you let it run all day. I'm not sure.
And well, the thing is, and this pool was just out of the pump, right? That's not the pipe.
Yeah, it's straight out.
Because it comes right out of the creek through the pump, and then right out where you would fill, a water truck or whatever, right? So
Yeah, but
that
it would,
doesn't have nothing to do, that's not
it'll put out
settlement in
fires.
our pipeline.
Any particular reason you're not taking that with you?
Might want to drink later.
He's keeping it for show and tell. Thank you, Jeff.
We should, we'll talk later today about our road grant.
Okay,
The grader should be back either tomorrow or Thursday.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all done.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can do to start that, because it doesn't have to be finished this year, but we can get it started.
Yeah.
And so we'll go from there. I'll get together with you and Tim. I took Tim up and showed him what we need to do as far as getting trees removed and getting the locate done first. And then we'll rent the equipment that we gotta have to cut the roads in. Tim's got them pretty well graded out. All we gotta do is get the gravel down.
Okay.
On those, but I wanna get the other ones cut in first. And we can probably do that with the first part of our grant.
So let's get together tomorrow.
Yeah, either tomorrow or Thursday.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, Sheriff Maldonado is here now.
Yeah,
Come on up.
how are you today?
We're fine.
Good. Apologize for not being here first thing.
Oh, that's okay.
But here's some of the, so. I came up to give an update, unless you have questions first that we can address first. So right now, there's only one open case in the Sumter area, and that's the location across the street owned by the Myers. And they've been pretty cooperative and open. I have brought with me their file, which includes their activity log, which I can go over with you. So I received the complaints on March 14th, and I did the site visits on March 21st. I started the notification process at that point. They are not local, so it wasn't easy for me to go and talk to somebody face to face. I had to do pretty much all the communication by mail or by phone number after I was able to determine their phone numbers. And Mrs. Myers has been very cooperative. She always answers my calls, and she misses my calls, she returns it right back. So just to go down the list, March 22nd, I sent an informal notification to Payette and advised them of the complaints. I had phone contact on the 28th of March. I had another phone contact on the 6th of April. I offered him a dumpster, all these things, and they did not need it. She said she was gonna send somebody to pick it up or to get it cleaned up on April 20th. I came and did another site visit, took pictures, there was visible piles, there hasn't been any progress. I made phone contact a few days later, and they stated they had just worked on it. And then I made phone contact in May, and they just gave me progress reports. They would come up every once in a while and work on it. So I took the liberty of, I last spoke with them on the 22nd, which was yesterday, and they said that they're gonna come finish it up on Labor Day weekend. So what I did was I printed off some pictures here, because every time I come in and do a site visit, I take photographs. So this is one here. I wrote, the top two pictures were taken in March of 22, and the bottom two pictures are in June. And then I printed off a few more sheets here for you to review. I asked the family to send me some pictures of when they took the property, and I don't remember it looking like that, but I don't know what year that was. But that's when they took down the property, the structure next to the existing property. And then again, let's go this way. So this is March again, probably the same ones that were there. And then I logged their progress in April. And then this is what it looks like pretty much right now. And my understanding is that they're going to come and secure the rest of the building to block it off, to have anything, prevent anything from coming in or out. And that's where we're at. Once that happens, I would say that this property, based on the requirements of the nuisance ordinance of Baker County, is in compliance. And once they do that, I plan on closing out the case as compliant and finished.
So now that building in the back, the small shed that's about ready to come down that stage, that's not an issue?
Yeah, so everything that we do is from public right of way, okay? So, even though they've given me permission to come onto the property and all of that, it has to be an endanger to the public or to a tenant or an occupant. So the actual definition for the ordinance says dangerous buildings or structures include a building, structure, mobile or manufactured home when the conditions or defects of the building, structure, mobile or manufactured home are to the extent that the life, health, property, or safety of the public or its occupants are endangered. And so that's not an occupied building. Based on my general observation, I don't see it falling down right now. There's no, if it does fall down, I don't see it as falling onto the public or hurting anybody of the general public. And it's not a dwelling that they plan on occupying. So it's a tough thing, because I know that it's still an eyesore, and I still have people saying that it's still an eyesore. Well, the term eyesore is not in the ordinance. It's about the accumulation of solid waste, accumulation of inoperable vehicles, or dangerous buildings or structures. And yes, of course, if I was king for a day, I'd say you must have, green grass mowed at all times with these standards. But these aren't up to me. I have to go by the guidelines which are in the ordinance. And so based on the photographs, and I don't know if you want to show it to the public or not, we can pass them around if that's okay with you all.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. If you wanted to pass those around, please. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to demonstrate what we started with and what we have now. And even though it's not a pristine situation, the structure that's left, especially these two here, I can't testify that they are ready to fall down or that they're a danger based on the fact that they're on private property and they're not the rest of the public. If one of the buildings was leaning towards the public right, or if it was leaning at all and looked like it was going to fall down, then it would be addressed. I understand that the roof has holes in it and it's missing materials, but that's not enough for me to say that it's at risk of falling down.
So how do you address what's considered curiosity, smaller children going over and falling in?
Yeah, we addressed that, and I told them that it would be in their best interest to put up a fence. But it's trespassing. Anybody that goes onto the property is trespassing. And if they're in or near those buildings, they're trespassing. And I know that liability wise, that doesn't mean that the curious feet aren't going to head over there. And I'm very aware of that. But the danger to the public as it stands now is not there, and it doesn't qualify for a dangerous building. The one in front especially is not going to move. There's a tree growing out of it. And so, there's not a standard in here that I can enforce, or take action against, or tell them to remove it, because it's not something that I can enforce. The barn itself is, I'm not in a position or in the business of, saying what is structurally sound, because I'm not an architect and I'm not a contractor. But based on my definition of the ordinance, they are near compliance. And based on what they do in the next couple of weeks with sealing up that front building, I believe they'll be in compliance after they're done.
So I'm not sure, but I've heard that there's still fuel tanks below now.
Well, there was some question about that, and I can't speak to it officially, but I was told that when the easement was moved, there was something about an easement movement over the years after they took it over, and that now after that easement was moved, the tanks were under the city right away. And also that somebody had inspected the tanks at some point after they took over ownership, and that they were intact and not leaking. But I have no knowledge or way to verify that. All I'm doing is communicating what was expressed to me. But even if those things aren't true, I have no way to, as far as that's a civil matter that I can't get into, because we have no traction with that.
Yeah, it's just a question that gets brought up, so.
Yeah.
I've asked.
Yeah, and I have no way of checking the tanks as well, so there's no way for me to check. I'm sure there's lots of commentary, but that's the only complaint I have open in Sumter right now. So,
Any more questions?
No, I think the big misconception is on the nuisance ordinance. Some of the citizens think it goes further than it does. That it
Yeah.
addresses more than just the 3 items.
yeah, and like I said, if I was to set standards and all that, if it were legal to set certain standards, it would be like a homeowners association. And I'm sure we would all agree that we would all want people to have their property looking a certain way, but
That varies from person. to
it does,
person.
and that's subjective, yeah, who is compliant based on who, and that's why I don't enter my own opinion, I just go by the ordinance, and regardless of what my opinion is, so.
Go ahead.
If the building that might collapse, if it did, and then the resulting debris pile, does that,
The one in the back of the property,
that you was talking
yeah,
about?
then it would be,
Then does that they could make a change to if it's complying or not?
yeah, I would say, and that would qualify for the pile, it's very similar to the pile of debris that was up front, it would be an accumulation of solid waste at that point. And so then we could revisit it if there was a complaint and talk about it that way. So, yeah, that's a good question.
Does the nuisance also include structures that are built on the easement, literally within a couple feet from a road?
There's well, the ordinance is basically geared toward a private property. So there's no detailed verbiage on distance from right of way or anything like that. Is there something specific I could address? Or?
Yeah, I'm knowledge of a structure, a chicken coop, which is built on Market Street, literally a couple feet from Market Street.
Okay.
And it is pallets just randomly put together.
Okay.
And I didn't know, because usually there's easements, if that would be considered city property, and if the nuisance ordinance would encompass something like that.
Yeah. So anything on public right of way or easements would be something for the council to consider. The ordinance is only applied to private property, nuisance on private properties.
You can ask them.
In general, most streets in Sumter are 5 to 60 feet wide.
Leanne, do you have a question for him?
No.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So anybody here, anybody else have a question for the sheriff while he's here? Take advantage of him while he's here. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I wish I could put smiles on everybody, but,
Well, you're trying, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, you made the effort, so.
and I'll hang out a little bit. I don't know how long your meeting's gonna take,
Yeah.
but I can hang out and
Sure.
maybe if there's other people that have comments or questions. I
Okay.
can-
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we're on to planning. First one is Patterson Investment Properties. And Rebecca, do you know how tall the height of the roof is gonna be?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's just a snow roof to put the picnic tables and fire range under the women.
We just needed the height,
John's on the road, so I don't know that I
Yeah.
can reach him.
okay,
Is it gonna be over 30 feet?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
But you just can't go over 30.
okay. So that's gonna be over 30 feet. And then, is there another question? Okay.
I'm just curious, and it's probably nothing to do with this, I'm just curious, as long as it brought up the difference between your guys' IR and your commercial. Because when you put the office in, it's commercial. And I know you have the gravel, which is in the IR, but doesn't once something go into commercial, that makes everything on that lot, or on that parcel commercial?
That I don't know, and Martin's not here to confirm, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, that would be another question for another time anyways.
Yeah.
Because for what's on planning.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve Patterson's investment property for the snow roof, providing that it does not go over 30 feet in
second,
height.
my second,
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Joe?
Aye.
All opposed? And then we got a communication from Don in regards to Bone Sharon's property. When he originally filed his storage shed, but he didn't really say what it was for. He is now going to get a permit and it's going to be a retail store. Which will be commercial, so we just have to vote to let him move forward and change it to a retail store, and then the county will take care of the rest
through commercial.
through commercial.
I don't have an issue with that. And that goes straight to Dawn then, and she takes. care of
Yeah,
it.
we just have to, tell her we approve this, go to her.
I make a motion to approve changing it to commercial use for the store, for the store.
For a second.
All second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? And, and then we have one more that Dawn came back and asked a question. It was on the Ballards shed that originally back in 2020 was mistakenly drawn on lot 1400.
Yes.
And now it's actually on 1600. Which is what Dawn's question was, with which lot it was. So,
And she just wanted to verify that you guys knew that it was actually 1600, not the approved 1400. So she just wanted you guys to acknowledge it and then sign off on it and that's
Okay.
good to go.
it was just it was a clerical error. And Dawn has no other problems with it other than now she knows where it's actually. So, any other problems?
No. So your motion would to be approved the change on the application to put
Correct lot.
the building on the correct lot of 1600.
Correct.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, the next, new city recorder job description and posting. We're gonna redo the job description a little bit, but our main thing is we need to get an ad in the paper for a posting. So I took the old ad that we had from a couple years ago and just revamped it, and it will be built to the paper on Saturday. And it will be closed at 4 p.m. on September 9th. And it will be posted, they will have the application on the website, right? Renee, you can put it on the website too. So it just directs them to call or go to the website, get for the job descriptions and the application contact. So, I mean, we need to get this done in a timely fashion, so.
So you're gonna put it in tomorrow,
Well, it won't.
come out till Saturday.
It will come out till Saturday, yeah. We'll put it in tomorrow.
I'll make a motion to, submit the job after posting for city recorder,
Closing,
Closing September 9th.
closing September 9th.
I'll second.
Now in favor?
Aye.
at,
Opposed?
at what time?
5 o'clock, Friday, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock Fridays. Move it along.
Well, we'll get it, yeah, I'll get with Renee and get that in there. And then we have some old business that just came in. I have a bill for the Wright House. Since the volunteers have been paying it, and we did not renew their contract, so now we have a bill. OTEC, it's $35.82. It is due, August 28th, so we need to vote to pay this now, so it's not delayed.
I'll make a motion to repay the OTEC bill for the White House.
Second.
In favor? Aye. Opposed? And then one other thing that seems to be overlooked is Labor Day is coming up. We have a flea market, and we need to vote to let the volunteers handle it. And Renee has said she will be here to go up and work, right, Renee? Yeah. So she'll do like she did Memorial Day and work volunteer. So,
Sean, is that something the volunteers are willing to do?
Yes, in fact, I thought it's
Well,
been okay back Memorial Day and Labor Day, but yes, we are planning on handling it.
I went back and looked at the minutes and it,
Okay,
yeah, it just kind of more or less worked around it and wasn't
Okay.
approved, so we
Well-
have to approve it.
we are planning and willing to do it.
I have a motion to let them as under the contract as usual.
Yes, I make a motion to let the Sumter Volunteers run the Labor Day flea market for this year, as they have in the past on Memorial Day of this year.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, anything else you guys want to bring up?
Yeah, we need to see, about getting that road grant.
Money?
Money
Okay,
to it.
yeah,
The grader should, like I told Jeff, the grader should be back. It'll be back this week for sure, but it should be here tomorrow, Tuesday. Tim is on vacation, he doesn't get back on Saturday. We need to see about getting
okay, or then,
our advance so we can move forward with this. And then we don't have to finish it this year, correct? Yes.
So what happened to the road grant money that we were gonna do those roads up there and then we were gonna shift it to pavement? That's gone.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us ship it.
So are we still gonna finish
That's
that
what
one?
we're gonna come back and we're gonna do our original graveling of the streets and,
And that was 100,000 for that?
yeah.
Okay.
So we get the first wave at 50.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna end up renting the dump truck. And we're gonna also rent that excavator. And we'll start out with, Climax on the top end.
Yeah, and
And then we're also gonna do Bonanza and widen it out too.
so ones that have to be completed, right?
So,
2 years, 2 years. So this year,
That'll work.
yeah,
well, if we can get them widened out this year with the first part of this, that also gives the county time to figure out from Noodle if we get to buy gravel from them, which that'll be way better than buying the gravel, because we can still afford to buy the gravel with the grant from RDMAP,
Yeah.
but that's where most of the, well, that's where most of your money would go
Yeah.
to where versus if we get it from the county, then it'll go a lot further.
You're on top of that, aren't you?
Well, somebody put me in charge of this.
Okay.
Just, do I have permission to request advance funding?
yeah.
Yeah, do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to.
I make a motion that we, give Renee permission to get our grant money coming.
Yeah, I'm second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're good. Anything else? Anything?
Don't think so.
John, is it possible, to get the financials from Nancy, the last quarter's financials?
Renee, or, Leanne, you didn't have that on you? It is possible.
I talked.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah, just drop them off to Renee, I don't need to
yeah,
look at them
Oh,
right
we've
now.
been giving them to you monthly rather than quarterly, is that all right?
yeah,
Perfect,
okay.
easy.
Is that it? Okay, public comment?
You heard the QRU went in for repair, it's
Yeah.
back, it was back Monday afternoon, in case anybody didn't hear. So JR did a great job, and yep, same way, no, we got fixed, it's back. So, blue water pump, one of those things.
Anybody else?
John, that's gonna be on, bills to be paid.
Whenever JR submits the bill to the city, Charlie, that's all I know. I just know where it went, and Kurt and Perry took care of it, and
If there's nothing else, and no public comment, entertain a motion,
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Very pleasant meeting, guys.
Yeah, I wonder-
What's that?
Yeah,